print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Jackie, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the April 9th issue of the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. District closes budget gap with staff reductions and cuts to programs by Sean Cunningham. A $1.6 million deficit in the East Aurora Union Free School District's projected 26-27 budget has been reduced, and $1 million in cuts are being proposed. Those cuts will include a reduction in the number of staff positions, both full and part-time, as well as reductions in field trips, materials, and supplies and programming. Because of the retirement incentive, fortunately, we won't be laying anyone off completely, Superintendent Brian Russ said during a meeting on Wednesday, April 1st. We will have a couple positions that will be reduced. The district was also able to estimate approximately $600,000 in additional revenues. The school board expected to vote on the matter at the next board meeting on April 21st. 19 members of the East Aurora Faculty Association were in the audience for the presentation, but none spoke during the meeting. After the meeting, President of the East Aurora Faculty Association, Bridget Converse, was asked about the proposed staff reductions. "There's no administrative cuts," Converse said. "Not everyone is taking a hit." The 26-27 projected budget is $48.7 million, a 4.02% increase from last year. The tax levy is 3.36%. The district is expected to receive $14.4 million in state aid. Superintendent Brian Russ said that in conversations with State Senator Patrick Gallivan, the state was likely going to give the district a 2% increase in state aid, which the district has factored into their budget. This amounts to a $79,000 increase from last year. As of the time of publication, the state budget has yet to be passed. If it happens before next week, that would be nice because it would confirm some things for us, Russ said. But we're not very hopeful. Revenues are projected to increase by $1.88 million. The district is projecting a $160,000 increase in sales tax revenue. The district is also proposing using nearly $530,000 in reserves. This will include $150,000 from the technology reserve, nearly $180,000 from EBLAR, and $100,000 from TRS and ERS reserve lines. On the appropriations side, salaries are expected to increase $113,000 from last year. That has a lot to do with the attrition, people who have decided to retire and take advantage of the retirement incentive, Russ said. That has actually helped us considerably. Fringe benefits are expected to increase by over 5%, totaling over $442,000. Some positions will be reduced from full-time to part-time, and others would see their part-time positions reduced further. Russ said that building principals would be speaking to the staff affected by these cuts. "No one will be laid off," Russ said. 2 elementary positions will be reduced at Parkdale Elementary, saving the district $162,000. A reading specialist at the middle school will be reduced saving $81,000. World languages will be reduced at the high school to save $10,000. Electives in English language arts and mathematics will be reduced at the high school, saving $51,000. Sixth assignments at the middle school will be reduced by $64,000. A senior clerk typist will be reduced at the district level, saving $55,000. The district is also eliminating the Family Support Center, which originally was formed during the pandemic. This is estimated to save the district $27,600. 2 student slots at the BOCES Harkness Center have been eliminated, saving $21,000, and 1 alternative education slot has been reduced, saving $13,000. Intramurals at the high school and middle school are estimated to be reduced by $13,500. A $13,000 reduction in materials and supplies at the middle school and Parkdale Elementary is expected. Field trips for students at Parkdale Elementary will be reduced to save $9,000. The district is expected to eliminate their middle school opening assembly, a savings of $2,000. The late bus provided to the middle and high school is projected to be reduced to 2 times a week. This will result in a savings of nearly $160,000. A $61,000 reduction in district-wide software is also projected. The Buildings and Grounds Department is expected to see a $25,000 reduction in their contracts and a $20,000 reduction in materials and supplies. The district will be able to save $112,000 in salaries for cafeteria aides by restructuring their payments to come from the cafeteria fund instead of from the general fund. The cafeteria fund is expected to see a surplus to accommodate this at the end of this year. The district is also estimating a $151,000 savings from the general fund by moving expenses for the Universal Pre-Kindergarten UPK program to the UPK fund that will be paid for by the increased funding projected this year. The district is projected to receive $840,000 from the UPK grant. The district is also reducing the amount in the projected appropriated fund balance from $707,000, which was used last year, to $664,000, the amount in the fund balance from the 24-25 school year. The district originally discussed having a meeting on April 16th to further discuss the budget. The board elected not to hold that meeting. The East Aurora School Board will meet again at 7 p.m. Tuesday, April 21st, when board members will vote on the proposed budget. A public hearing will be held on Wednesday, May 6th. The budget vote will be held on Tuesday, May 19th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. All aforementioned events will take place in the middle school cafeteria on Main Street. Clerk to serve as village administrator following organizational meeting. Questions remain about attorney appointments by Sean Cunningham. After the induction of newly elected Mayor Luke Wachensky and trustees Timothy Bojanowski and Chelsea Root, the village board held its annual organizational meeting. Trustees Ryan Camp and Jeffrey Raby were absent for the meeting. Maureen Girakas was reappointed to a 4-year term as both village clerk treasurer and records management officer and budget officer. She was also reappointed to a 1-year term as grant master. Later in the board's regular meeting, they unanimously accepted the resignation of village administrator Shane Krieger for retirement commencing on April 3rd. The board has received at least 6 applications for a new village administrator, but the application period is still open for others who are interested to submit their resume and references. The application and information regarding qualifications can be found on the village's website. In the meantime, the board unanimously passed a resolution to appoint Jerikis to continue to cover the duties of village administrator for up to 6 months, and a training period that does not exceed 1 year until the right candidate can be found. Jerikis will receive a stipend of $673 per week until the new administrator's training is complete, verified and approved by the mayor. The resolution also stated that if vacations, personal time, or holidays cannot be taken due to these assignments, with approval from the administrator or mayor, unused days will be paid out or carried over into the new year. Jerikis previously assumed duties of the village administrator from July 2023 to July 2024 while there was a vacancy. The village did not appoint a permanent village attorney or deputy attorney during the organizational meeting. At the end of the regular meeting, Wachensky said that he would like to go into executive session to interview 2 candidates who applied for the open village attorney position. Trustee Steve Laziskis objected and said he did not want to go into executive session to conduct interviews that led to a permanent decision on village attorney unless the full board was present. We delayed a lot of other things so new board members could become acclimated, he said. The village attorney position was advertised around March 25th. Jerikis said that the village also sent the application to attorneys that cover municipal law. Lazikis asked what the standard for a posting for a village attorney was. Jerikis said the appointment is not considered a standard hiring. Applications were due April 1st. Lazikis said he felt that the 7-day period for soliciting applications for the attorney position was too short. He also said he did not think that delaying the decision for 2 weeks would make a difference. Wachensky said that during the executive session, he wanted to discuss the fact that the Planning Commission, Historic Preservation Commission, and Zoning Board of Appeals all meet this week, and that by interviewing the candidates, the board could possibly appoint a temporary attorney to cover those meetings while a permanent candidate is considered in the near future. Root suggested continuing to keep previous village attorney Chris Trapp on retainer until the April 21st meeting, then make a decision. Lazikis said he agreed. Trapp was one of the 2 attorneys in the audience to be interviewed. I'm not personally against that, but I do think that decision is a decision, Wachensky said. I would also like to give 2 options for the short-term position as well. Wachensky said he thought that was fairest to everyone. You 2 have the experience with the current attorney, Wachensky said of Lazikis and trustee Kristen Cameron. The rest of us do not. Wachensky questioned whether Lazikis could make a motion to force the entire board to be present and weigh in on the interviews when the appointment is made by the mayor. Wachensky said he recommended the executive session be held with the current board, interviews to be conducted, and a decision whether a temporary attorney, previous or new, be retained. I would be willing, without a motion, to have another opportunity to have the full board present to conduct an interview, Wachensky said. According to Jerikis, the board met in executive session for over 2 hours. No vote or action was taken after the executive session. Chris Trapp will stay on as village attorney, and Joseph Trapp will stay on as deputy attorney until a formal decision is made by the board. Applications for the position of village attorney remain open at this time. Jerikis said that a request had been made to allow for all trustees to be present and part of the final interview process. In other news, Root was appointed as deputy mayor. Several changes were made to the board liaisons for village committees. The full list can be found on the village's website under the organizational agenda. Robert Lowell Goller was reappointed as village historian for a one-year term. Dr. Mark Clockey and Owen Sulabian were appointed to the Historic Preservation Commission for 4-year terms. Tony Hoffman was reappointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term. Rodney Simone and Tony Rosati were appointed as alternates to the ZBA for 1-year terms, respectively. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From the first meeting on April 21st, village reorganization was continued. Jeff Hintz and Stacy Orr were reappointed to the Planning Commission for 3-year terms. Deborah Izat was appointed as an alternate for a 1-year term. Elizabeth Cassidy was appointed to the State Environmental Quality Review Act Review Committee for a 1-year term. Seth Kaiser, Adam Zaremski, Aaron Redding, Jared Beyer, Madeline Beyer, and Richard Syracuse were appointed to the Pedestrian Bicycle Board, PBB, for 1-year terms. Mike Robinson was appointed as their chair. Wachensky said that the PBB will hold its first meeting at 7 p.m. Tuesday, April 21st, on the second floor of the Aurora Municipal Center. They have a lot of very exciting ideas, including some public hearings about how we want to develop our pedestrian and bike infrastructure, Wachensky said. The board approved the meeting schedule for the 26-27 calendar year, where meetings will take place on the first and third Monday of the month, with changes to be made as they come up. Wachensky told the board that he would like to institute a possible monthly work session that would likely take place during the first or third week of the month, and asked the board to consider dates and times. Bank of Holland, NCY LASS, and M&T Bank were appointed as designations of village depositories. The board did not approve village policies and procedures, as Wachensky said he wanted the board to look over those documents and provide any input or feedback. In the interim, policies and procedures regarding cell phones, credit card purchasing, the employee handbook, and purchasing that were enacted in April of 2025 will continue to be in effect. The board also did not approve the fee schedule for the village. Wachensky said that Cassidy, Department of Public Works General Foreman Jeffrey Stoll, and Police Chief Patrick Welch had recommendations about changing certain fees, and he would like to discuss them further. Fees adopted in April 2025 will continue to be in effect until this change is made. The village board will meet again at 7 p.m. Monday, April 20th, at the Aurora Municipal Center on Oakwood Avenue. A canine vaccine clinic. The SPCA, serving Erie County, is partnering with Petco Love to host a drive-through low-cost canine vaccine clinic next month. The clinic will take place from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Wednesday, April 29th at the Fairgrounds in Hamburg, located at 5820 South Park Avenue. Attendees are requested to enter the fairgrounds via the South Park entrance. Pre-registration is required. A $10 registration fee per dog is due at the time of booking. This fee will be applied to the services selected during the clinic. Note that this fee is non-transferable to other clinic dates and is non-refundable. The clinic will offer multiple price points. These include entire vaccine bundles for puppies and adult dogs, and prices for individual vaccines. Cash, credit, Venmo, and PayPal will all be accepted. In addition, free pet supplies will be available while supplies last. For more information or to secure a spot, visit yourspca.org. Vaccine Microchip Clinics. The Arts and Craftsmen Guild on the historic Roycroft campus has 3 art scholarships which will be awarded at 7 p.m. May 7th in the Castiglia Arts Center. The Guild is once again offering a $500 scholarship to a graduating high school senior or college student whose permanent address is in Erie County and who plans to pursue post-secondary education in the visual arts or fine arts. This year, the Guild is honored to be working in conjunction with Jennifer Higgins to award 2 $500 scholarships in memory of her brother, artist Jeffrey Miller. Jeffrey was born on March 16, 1950, in Buffalo, New York, the twin brother of Jennifer Miller Higgins. He spent much of his life in Western New York, where his work and creativity left a lasting impression on both the built and natural environments around him. Jeff studied at the Boston Museum School of Art and went on to work for many years as a form carpenter on major regional projects before later joining the grounds team at the East Aurora Country Club. Throughout his professional life, art remained central to his identity. Deeply committed to watercolor painting, Jeff was influenced by both local artists and master painters, and his work was exhibited nationally, including shows with the American Watercolor Society, the National Arts Club, and the National Academy of Design. In addition to painting, Jeff expressed his artistic vision through furniture making, stonework, and the design and construction of his own home. A quiet, thoughtful, and deeply creative individual, everything Jeff made reflected his belief that art was an essential part of everyday life. In honor of her twin brother and his lifelong dedication to art and craftsmanship, Jennifer has established 2 $500 scholarships for the Arts and Craftsmen Guild this year, celebrating Jeffrey Miller's memory and artistic legacy. In addition to the scholarship awards being given on the evening of May 7th, the Castiglia Arts Center walls will be exhibiting 22 pieces of Jeffrey Miller's artwork. His exhibit will be on display from May 1st through May 15th. Gallivan calls for relief in final state budget. Senator Patrick M. Gallivan and members of the Senate Minority Conference have sent a letter to Governor Kathy Hochul urging the inclusion of 2 pieces of legislation in the enacted state budget that would provide real utility relief at a time when New Yorkers desperately need it. The first piece of legislation, S 8461A, co-sponsored by Gallivan, would provide nearly $3 billion in bill credits to ratepayers using unspent funds collected from ratepayers by NYSERDA and utilities with PSC approval for green energy projects. The fiscal year 2025 budget and financial plan for NYSERDA detailed that NYSERDA had a total net position of $2,045,624 at the end of 2025. There was also $770 million being held in escrow by utilities for requisition by NYSERDA at the end of 2025, per the Department of Public Service. The second bill, S.8463, would establish a 1-year utility bill tax and surcharge holiday and a 2-year green energy gas tax holiday, which would provide real and meaningful relief to ratepayers that are paying residential electric rates 50% higher than the national average. The call for the inclusion of these pieces of legislation in the final enacted budget comes on the heels of a recent report from NYSERDA warning of increases in utility costs to keep up with the green energy mandates laid out in the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. In their letter, the legislators say since 2021, $88.7 billion has been invested in clean energy programs, with the funding mainly paid by taxpayers. They argue the state needs an energy plan that is affordable, realistic, and does not put the entire cost on the backs of consumers. In the editorials, the school board missed an opportunity, but it's not too late. The East Aurora School Board essentially finalized the budget on the same day that over $1 million in cuts were announced to the public for the first time. These cuts include not replacing teachers who are retiring at Parkdale, reducing part and full-time positions, programs, intramurals, materials, supplies, and field trips. Notably, there appear to be no administrative cuts, save for not replacing a retiring senior clerk typist. The board had originally scheduled a meeting for 7 p.m. Thursday, April 16th, to further discuss the budget before approving it on April 21st. During last week's meeting, board members decided to cancel it. To date, the state budget still has not been passed, and though we'd like to believe what state officials say it will contain, that is far from a guarantee until it is approved. The state budget may have an impact on what East Aurora is proposing. Regardless of any change to the state budget, by canceling the meeting, the district and the school board will miss an opportunity to hear from the public during an open meeting before the budget is final. The district has been chided in the past for their lack of open communication with voters in the district. Sure, the superintendent floating around to present the budget at meetings of various civic clubs is outreach, but it's far from representative of the whole community's perspective. The April 16th meeting would have served as an opportunity for the community to come out and ask questions, voice concerns, and get answers surrounding the many cuts the district is proposing. This would still allow time for the district and the board to make changes before they are forced into a vote. There's a community comment period that will take place prior to the scheduled vote on April 21st, but it will offer little time for the school board to consider public comment before the vote. It's not too late. School Board President Joe Cassidy told board members to leave April 16th open on their personal calendars. Have the meeting. Give the public a final opportunity to voice their opinions before the door is shut. Help people understand what they're voting on and how the district got to this point, because that still needs clarification. Consider voting in the Democratic primary. Dear Editor, a Democratic primary for New York State Congressional District 23 gives the power back to the voters to decide who is best to represent Democrats to fight and defeat Trump and Langworthy. This congressional campaign is about fighting to save America, restore our democracy, and reestablish what it means to be a decent American citizen in this country and around the world. This race is also about how to fight and help hardworking families with the costs of health care, groceries, utilities, and other monthly expenses every American faces on a monthly basis. Again, I have kept my promise to the voters who want a voice in deciding who fights for them, their family, their community, and our country. Together, we can fight to defeat Trump and Langworthy. My team and I have walked door to door in sub-freezing temperatures, blizzards, and rain, and met many wonderful Democrats who signed my petition to help get me on the ballot. I personally talked with voters about their concerns and their community and our country. On April 3rd, I drove to the Board of Elections in Albany and submitted the approximately 2,000 signatures that my team and I collected, putting me on the ballot for the New York State Congressional 23rd District. I look forward to the primary on June 23rd, so Democrat voters have the power to decide who is best to represent the Democratic Party, defeat Trump and Langworthy, help save America, and fight for hardworking families. Signed, Kevin Stocker, Congressional Candidate, 23rd District. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. In the Aurora Police Report, a missing man was found at home. An 83-year-old male from Naples, Florida, was reported to have wandered off from a restaurant on Blakely Road at approximately 8 p.m. Saturday, March 28th. According to the report, a 43-year-old male complainant from East Aurora stated that a 76-year-old woman from East Aurora was attempting to pay for the bill when her boyfriend left the restaurant without telling her. She reportedly exited the business and could not locate him. The woman, complainant, and business staff searched the property with no results. Police were contacted approximately 45 minutes after the subject was last seen. The woman was located in the parking lot, upset and intoxicated. She stated the subject had early stages of dementia but had not wandered off before. The woman also stated that the subject lived in the village of East Aurora. The report says an officer drove to the subject's residence and found him at home. A medical evaluation was requested since the subject had a laceration on his knee. The subject stated that he was walking home and tripped not far from the restaurant. The subject stated he was given a ride home from a passerby but was unable to recollect their name. An ambulance arrived at the location, but the subject signed off and refused medical attention. A suspicious incident. A 56-year-old female complainant from East Aurora called to report a suspicious incident that occurred on Luther Road at 4:30 p.m. According to the report, the complainant stated that she is babysitting two children while their parents are out of town. The complaint stated that she and the children left for the day at approximately 9:30 a.m. Before they left, the complainant stated that she put the dog behind the gate in the mudroom, locked all of the doors, and shut off all the lights in the house. The complainant returned to the residence with the children at approximately 4 p.m. and entered through the garage doors with the garage door opener. When she entered the mudroom area, she noticed the hallway lights were on. The dog was let out of the gated area, and there was a trail of mud tracks on the ground from a pair of boots. The complainant did not believe that the mud was present before she left the residence and stated that she did not notice anything missing and did not find any unlocked doors. The garage doors were reportedly also shut when she arrived back at the residence. The complainant asked the owners of the residence if they had given permission to someone to enter the residence while they were away, to which they responded that no one had permission to do so that day. The property and the residence were searched with negative results. The owners of the residence were set to return home in the next few days and would notify patrol if they noticed any missing belongings. The residence did not have surveillance footage. Customer at Barbill Tavern charged with 2 felonies. Scott Rutkowski, a 40-year-old male from West Seneca, received several charges, including 2 felonies, after pulling out a firearm at Barbill Tavern on Main Street. According to a press release from the East Aurora Police Department, witnesses inside the restaurant reported that Rutkowski had grown upset over the amount of gratuity a customer had left and went to his vehicle to retrieve a firearm. Witnesses stated that the subject came back into the restaurant and displayed a handgun, pointing it in the direction of several customers. Rutkowski was arraigned in the town of Aurora court. He was remanded to the Erie County Holding Center pending a felony hearing at a later date. NOCO names Elma resident as vice president. NOCO recently announced the appointment of James Sabel to vice president of NOCO at Home. Sabo lives in Elma. In his new role with NOCO, he will oversee the company's comprehensive portfolio of residential services, including heating and cooling, standby generators, plumbing, geothermal systems, home energy assessments, and solar solutions. James is focused on driving operational excellence, expanding service offerings, and delivering exceptional customer experiences that reflect NOCO's commitment to reliability, innovation, and care, said Michael Casciano, NOCO's President and Chief Operating Officer. His leadership and passion for building high-performing teams supports our mission to provide safe, efficient, and forward-looking solutions that meet the evolving needs of homeowners. Sabo brings more than 15 years of leadership experience across the home services and construction industries as owner of Stately Builders and general manager at Roy's Plumbing. With a history spanning more than 90 years, NOCO is a full-service energy company servicing customers across upstate New York. To learn more about NOCO, visit noco.com. Sunset at the Stables returns in July. The Sunset at the Stables concert series returns to Knox Farms State Park for its sixth season beginning Friday, July 10th. Sunset at the Stables features regional bands with the iconic Knox Farm Stables as a backdrop. Sunset at the Stables will kick things off on Friday, July 10th with the sounds of 10 Cent Howl. This band, led by lead singer-songwriter Bill Smith, will bring a mix of bluegrass and rockabilly to Knox Farm for the first time. On Friday, July 17th, Sunset at the Stables welcomes back Cleveland's own A.J. in the Woods. This band was voted the best folk artist in Cleveland in 2023. On Friday, July 24th, the concert series welcomes back Leroy Towns Band. Leroy and the band have taken the stage every year of Sunset at the Stables. Finally, to wrap up the music series, Sunset at the Stables welcomes Slip Madigan on Friday, July 31st. The band, led by East Aurora musician Brad Robbins, will bring its unique sounds of experimental, folk-rocking music to Knox Farm. Advance tickets will be $20, and, if available, day-of-event tickets will be $25. Sunset at the Stables is again offering a season pass to all 4 shows. All tickets include free parking and 3 hours of live music. Proceeds of this concert series benefit the Friends of Knox Farm State Park to support their ongoing efforts to maintain and improve the park's grounds. In addition to the music, Sunset at the Stables will feature local food and beverages from 42 North Brewing Company, Clarksburg Cider, Rosie's Handcrafted Ice Cream, and food trucks. Children 10 and under are free when accompanied by an adult. Gates open at 5 p.m. and the music begins at 6 p.m. Tickets for all the shows are now available at www.sunsetatthestablesmusic.com. Up to $2,000 is available for arts education opportunities. The New York State Education Department, NYSED, recently announced that applications are now open for the summer cycle of the 2026 Empire State Arts Scholarship Program. With awards of up to $2,000, the program helps remove financial barriers so high-need students in 6th to 12th grade can participate in summer programs in dance, music, visual arts, media arts, and theater. By investing in young artists, NYSED is expanding opportunity, strengthening communities, and fueling the next generation of creative talent. Opportunities for arts education vary across communities, particularly for students in historically underserved areas. This program directly addresses those gaps by prioritizing the need-based support and ensuring more students can participate in programs that drive academic achievement, social emotional growth, and long-term success. The scholarship program is administered by NYSED's Office of Cultural Education and is part of a broader, renewed commitment to the arts learning statewide. Today's announcement builds on the department's launch of the New York State Summer School of the Arts, NISA, Visioning Task Force, an effort to strengthen and reimagine one of New York's most enduring arts education programs. Students are encouraged to confirm acceptance into their chosen program before applying for a scholarship. To apply for a scholarship, parents or persons in parental relationship must complete the online application, which is accessible at www.oce.nysed.gov. Questions can be directed to the New York State Summer School of the Arts office at 518-474-8773 or nyssa@nysed.gov. The application deadline is 11:59 p.m. on Friday, April 24th. St. Jude's fundraising walk brings in $8,000 for cancer patients and their families, by Rick Oler. Senior Aidan Fry's hard work paid off on Tuesday, March 31st, when 80 of his fellow East Aurora High School students and several faculty members joined him on the track for the second annual mile walk to raise funds for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Fry chose St. Jude's Research Hospital to honor the memory of his mother, who passed away from cancer in 2024. St. Jude's in Memphis, Tennessee, supports cancer patients and their families regardless of their ability to pay. Earlier that afternoon, 20 middle school students, led by Principal Matthew Brown, walked the neighborhood adjacent to the school to help with the effort. Even some Parkdale Elementary faculty and staff got involved. This year's walk brought in $8,076, surprising Fry's $6,000 goal and bringing the two-year total to $14,357. Fry implemented the direct approach to generate interest in the fundraiser. It's fine to put up posters around the school buildings, but you never know if people are reading them, he said. This year, I spoke at lunch about the walk to make sure everyone had at least heard of it. I went down to the middle school during their lunch to speak as well. I think it helped. Mother Nature cooperated too, holding off the torrential downpour that flooded village and town streets until after the walk had concluded. This was an incredible month, Fry said, and I'm so thankful for all the generosity that was shown. My gratitude goes out to all the students, teachers, and families who helped us have such a successful year. I'm beyond proud of East Aurora for fighting cancer together. Fry will graduate this June, but he's hopeful he can hand off the walk to some underclassmen. You can find Fry at afry60@eak12.org. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Honor former Wall & Wine's owner. An April 19th fundraiser will support East Aurora Boys and Girls Club, by Rick Oler. Are they guest bartenders or celebrity bartenders? You be the judge at Wall & Wine's Hotel on April 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. when the 7th annual Yanks and Franks opening day of baseball in memory of Lance Holmes event takes place, with all tips and proceeds benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of East Aurora. With the Yankees on all the TVs, just the way late Wally's owner Lance Holmes would have wanted it, 7 of your neighbors will be behind the bar slinging drinks and taking tips for the club. This year we have Sammy Cosmano, world-famous bumper scrubber, Doctor of Cosmetology Sarah Eichborn, landscape virtuoso Joe Matucci, Aurora Baseball Hall of Famer Joe Shanahan, Maine and Hamlin's Andy Miller, basketball great Keith Stiles, and me, the world's slowest bartender from the world's best hometown newspaper. Ray Brown will be grilling complimentary ballpark franks. Gail Baster will be running the basket raffle with help from the Boys and Girls Club volunteers, and Bucky Ehlers will be hawking 50-50 tickets. Of course, no ball game would be complete without peanuts and Cracker Jacks on the bar. The whole shebang will be under the supervision of the inimitable Anita Oskyer, Wally's longtime special events coordinator. Wally's owner, civic-minded citizen Ben Holmes, will once again allow us to take over his bar for the day. Last year, we raised an incredible $6,000 from tips, basket raffle, and 50-50, thanks to the generosity of the community and the mediocrity of the bartenders. That put our 7-year total well over $20,000 and earned us, well, not just us, but everyone who has been part of the fun, the right to have a cabin at Camp Ska no Kensen, designated as Yanks and Franks in memory of Lance Holmes. From this day forward, Cabin 11 will carry that distinction with a plaque prominently displayed. April 19th will be the place to be for Yanks and Franks 7. If you can't be there, feel free to contribute via Venmo at Boys and Girls Club of East Aurora or use the QR code. Hopefully, by the end of the day, you'll decide whether this crew is made up of guest or celebrity bartenders. But everyone who helps out will know they supported the kids in our community. Aurora Highway Superintendent by Jeanette DeJong and Ellen Neumeyer. ACE's members were warmly welcomed to the Highway Superintendent's office on a wintry day in March to talk about alternatives to using salt to de-ice roads and other highway problems. Beet juice! Beet juice! People exclaim when they hear of this. Everything will be red. But that isn't the case. Beet juice, or sometimes molasses mixed with salt brine, works well when the temperature is too low for the salt to be effective. It's the sugar content that makes it work. Beet juice is more expensive, but beet juice brine sticks to the roads better instead of scattering like salt, lessening the polluting effect on nearby vegetation and waters. Dave said he tried molasses brine, but residents called saying their dogs were licking the sidewalks. The town of Aurora recently received a grant for a new salt barn with a storage capacity of 50,000 gallons to be built where it will avoid draining into Cazenovia Creek. Another topic was necessary bridge repair due to climate change. The recently finished East Fillmore Bridge, originally built for a farmer in 1900, was acquired by the village 20 years later. Looking to the future, potential flooding caused by climate change is paramount when discussing bridge repair. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. News of the connection between Parkinson's disease and exposure to pesticides has been aired lately. Glyphosate, a key ingredient in many lawn pesticides, has been linked to Parkinson's for years, as are some cancers and other harmful health effects. Dave reaffirmed his belief that pesticides are harmful, especially to children and pets. He declared he has not used pesticides in town parks and playgrounds for more than a decade, responding to peer-reviewed scientific articles presented to him by ACEs. He signed the Pesticide-Free Lawn Pledge for his personal property and encouraged all residents to do likewise. A pesticide-free community is a healthier community. If you see an invasive species like celandine, please start digging it right away to avoid having to use harmful chemicals later. Invasives crowd out beneficial native plants. Thank you, Superintendent Gunner, for working for a better Auroran environment. Aurorans for Climate and Environmental Sense, ACES, is a citizen group started in 2012 to support the East Aurora Village Climate Smart Initiative. Its mission is to engage all residents of Greater East Aurora to help East Aurora become a climate smart community through education, planning, and action. For more information, email aces.eastaurora@gmail.com or find the group on Facebook, ACES East Aurora, Instagram, ACES EA, or online at aceseastaurora.org. Using e-bikes and mobility devices with caution by John Garcia, the Erie County Sheriff. Watching people flock to trails and bike paths across Erie County is one of my favorite parts of spring. That will surely be happening in the coming weeks as the weather improves. At the Erie County Sheriff's Office, we're committed to ensuring you can enjoy your recreational activities safely. Unfortunately, law enforcement agencies from across our region responded to several accidents involving electric bikes, electric scooters, and dirt bikes in 2025. Many resulted in injuries, and tragically, some were even fatal. I wrote about these mobility devices in my column last July. With an increasing number of them across our area, I must do so again this month in hopes that it will raise awareness of the dangers if they are not properly operated. The good news is that more communities took action to address this issue over the winter months. In January, the Village of Springville passed a local law regulating bicycles and scooters that have electric assistance. The law states e-bikes and e-scooters may only be operated on village streets and highways if they have a posted speed limit of 30 miles per hour or less. E-bikes may only be operated on sidewalks and multi-use paths if the electric motor does not provide assistance once the device reaches a speed of 20 miles per hour, unless otherwise restricted by resolution or posted signs. Perhaps most importantly, reckless, careless, or negligent operation of an e-bike or e-scooter is prohibited. Our deputies and other law enforcement officials have been authorized to issue tickets and civil citations if necessary. None of this is punitive in nature. It is intended to be preventative. We all want to avert the next tragedy. The prevalence of these mobility devices is a fantastic thing. They allow people, especially our youth, to get outside and explore their community. Your teen may operate an e-bike or e-scooter for the first time in the coming weeks. It is important to review the rules governing the use of these devices in your community and discuss those rules with your children. Each municipality is empowered to promulgate such regulations by state law, and they may vary from town to town. That said, no matter where you are in New York, you must be 16 or older to operate an e-bike or e-scooter. We want your children to get outside and enjoy themselves, but we want them to do so without putting themselves or anyone else at risk of injury or worse by acting recklessly. Let's work together to make this happen. On the Opinions and Ideas page, Saved from the Hell Box by Grant M. Hamilton, publisher. Misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. To say that the information consumer and the professional journalist is faced with challenges in determining what to believe is an understatement is to say the least. In times of war, disinformation has been used to try to trick an enemy, though it isn't limited to the battlefield. It is a deliberate attempt to trick someone into acting on false reports leaked in some manner. Off the battlefield, it can be found in sports, business, investing, and politics. The hot tip to a news reporter means that the reporter has to be careful to avoid being used as part of a disinformation attempt. Without discouraging sources, being suspicious of the motivation of the person providing the tip is part of a reporter's job. Whistleblowing has been institutionalized in government and business to some extent, and questioning the motivation of the source is sometimes turned against the institution. It is the source coming to the reporter out of fear of retaliation or fear that the complaint will be buried, or hopes that an already debunked issue will be furthered by an unsuspecting member of the media. Throw in misinformation, and the public and the journalist has another challenge. Social media spreads misinformation, spawning conspiracy theories. Accountability for the misinformation is missing. If there is a grain of truth, it is often just that, a grain. For the journalist, it means responding to the conspiracy theory that you are hiding something. The answer to why aren't you reporting that question is generally because it isn't true. In our business, we try not to print misinformation. If we do, we print a correction. You won't find that with social media comments. Put disinformation and misinformation together in an organized manner to sway groups of people, and it becomes propaganda. Where there is no independent source of information, it becomes a tool. That's why authoritarian governments shut down the internet and control internal media. And that's why it is important to not only protect the First Amendment, but also for legitimate journalists to find a way to remain in an organization with the traditional rules of checks and balances. The fragmentation of the news industry is of concern. We have qualified journalists setting out on their own publishing paths. I've supported a few subscribing to their efforts on publishing platform Substack. Substack has been a place for writers and creators to self-publish for a number of years. I suspect that it only has been recently that the news reporters have left the institutional newsroom to try an independent route. My concern is that as additional news writers land on these paid platforms, they may not necessarily be journalists with traditional standards, and the public may not take the time to do a background check. It could become another social media-like environment with the appearance of legitimacy, or perhaps furthered by social media. Substack has recently added social media and other functions to the publishing platform, perhaps to fall under the umbrella of Section 230 immunity. Unlike other social media, Substack is supported by fees on subscriptions rather than advertising. It is a difficult time for journalists under pressure from AI and uncertainty in the job market. It's easy to take a shortcut and repeat rather than report. It's easy to pick up frequently used terms like crisis without defining crisis or finding the source. The reporter should ask, what's a crisis? What's a problem? What's an issue? Or is none of those things? But it takes time, and that's hard to come by. It's easy to consult AI. It's easy to find that AI isn't accurate. Here's to those who miss Walter Cronkite. Unfortunately, Mr. Cronkite's sign-off from the evening news, "and that's the way it is," has a different meaning today. It doesn't have to be. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the April 9th edition of the East Aurora Advertiser. We read from the East Aurora Advertiser every Saturday at 10 a.m. Your reader has been Jackie. Thanks for listening.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of the Niagara Gazette. At noon, we have the Dunkirk Observer. And at 1 o'clock, we have some of our Northtown Bees, including Amherst, Clarence, Cheektowaga, Lancaster, and Depew. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability.